everything deteriorates as we age. That is known. And eyesight is one of them. Is there anything that helped them get rid of these glasses once and for all?
Yes, there are several options.
What could be done for my son at the moment? What are the available options for him?
Well, basically, it depends, firstly, how old the child is. Most of the focus nowadays is on what we call myopia regression or myopia control. So that's the Supra LASIK that we advocate, again, for the right individual. And there's several criteria that go into selecting the right individual. So if the lens is clear, then usually a lens replacement procedure is a bit premature.
So the treatment is called supralift.
Mm-hmm. The difference between the supralift and the blepharoplasty is the cut.
So to make sure that the right laser is used for the right part of the face to achieve the desired result. Now, how does one turn back the clock? You can force the body to generate new collagen and new elastin internally from within itself.
The skin will never regrow again. The vaporized skin, it's vaporized. Because we also always see the patient coming like holding the eyebrow with the finger and I want my eyes to be like that. Or I want my eyes to be like this celebrity or this.
What do you mean now? What do you mean now?
Showing photoshopped and edited pictures of people looking superhumanly good.
The stem cells extremely safe.
Wearing someone else's glasses can improve your own eyesight.
Improve.
I think we know what to know.
Eyes. They are the mirrors to our soul, and they're also the windows through which we see the world. Marcus Tullius and Ralph Emerson, in a journal article, they said, and I quote, "The vision, the sense of vision, is probably the most important sense of all senses because it gives form to everything we see around us," unquote. Today, we are going to be diving into the fascinating world of ophthalmology with two of the most geniuses in the field. We have Dr. Vinod Gauba and we have Doctor Nanis Sultan. They are both going to give us whatever we need to know about what today's world of ophthalmology and technology has to offer. Dr. Gauba, Dr. Sultan, thank you very, very much for being here with us today. And during the introduction, I basically spoke about something that says the vision is most likely the most important of all the senses that we have, because it gives a form to everything we see around us. You chose to carry on this responsibility towards us as human beings. Is like, to me, to be responsible for someone's eyesight, is not something that I would volunteer for. However, both of you chose it somehow. I would like to know why, please.
Firstly, thank you, Wigida, for having us on the show. And I think it's a calling. I think it's a calling of wanting to serve and wanting to help humanity. But at the same time, having that urge to wake up every morning and know that you're going to make a difference in someone's life that day. And I have to say that I truly feel I'm blessed with one of the best jobs in the world. We make direct impact on people and we see that result and we see the way their lives transform. And honestly, the blessings we receive in return are probably our biggest earnings. And I say that to everyone that asks me, including my children.
Definitely. I concur to that, because I'm one of them, myself. And Dr. Sultan, why ophthalmology? Why eyes?
Thank you, Gida, so much for the show, for inviting us here today. Seeing happiness in the patient's eye after doing any procedure, after recovering from the procedure and seeing the result, is making the life different, really. It's not all about, like, you have 10 patients today, you have 100 patients. No, it's all about the sensation, what you see, like the patient is happy, the patient is satisfied. You make difference in his life. So that's all about.
Thank you very much. It sums it all up, and it makes perfect sense. My following question is going to stop for 1 minute. during this 1 minute, I am asking both of you to kindly connect with all of us and give us just a small, tiny glimpse about your background, education, experience.
Sure, thank you. So I was actually born in the UK, but brought up mostly in Dubai, between Dubai and London. Then I moved back to the UK after my secondary schooling here and studied at King's College London and did my medical degree there, and then went on to do training programs all around the UK. Then went across to work around the world, from Johns Hopkins in the US, across to Greece, back to the US, and various different places where you're acquiring specialized skills because you can't find them always in the same country you're in. And then finally moving back to the UK to work as a consultant before I moved back to Dubai in 2008. So I've been now basically in the ophthalmology field for almost a quarter of a century, more than 24 years, and specifically in oculoplastics for about 20 years.
Dr. Sultan?
Okay, I have been practicing now for around 13 years. Here in UAE, around 5 years. And I received my degree in Egypt. I took my training also there. General ophthalmologist, then about 5 years of oculoplastic.
Okay. Thank you very much for the answers. Now, I will not be reading the questions. I will be just sharing few of the things that I know that every viewer would like to hear about from you, and what makes this podcast different. We know that we all have problems with our eyesight, and some of the problems we're born with, but some of the problems, they develop as we age. So, Dr. Gauba, during the past 25 years, where did you start from treating bad eyesight, okay, to where we are today to correct the problem?
Yeah, I think the domain of eyes is one that, because it's so precious to us all, it's an area that has constant innovation. So there's a huge investment in research, in new techniques, in new technology, in new pharmaceutical agents. And I would say the practice continues to constantly evolve. So we never stand still. So we're always, even if something's perfect, we make it that little bit more perfect. And that's the nature of ophthalmologists, actually. We're by nature quite perfectionist people. There's a certain personality type that gets drawn to this profession. And in terms of how we practice, we're constantly open to new innovation. And it's why continuing medical education is such an important part of our field, and why, for example, I was so determined to set up organizations regionally to help drive oculoplastics and globally to help drive oculoplastics and advances in the fields of ophthalmology, so that everyone can stay on top of what's the latest and the best. Not everyone can travel all the corners of the globe to understand what's the best and the latest and the newest. And remember, it's not always what's the latest and the newest. It's actually responsibly implementing that into your practice. So just because something's new doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. This takes me to the important question that maybe some of the parents are asking themselves about. As I personally have a son who's got, short eyesight and is refusing now to wear glasses. Okay, so what could be done for my son at the moment, at the age of 16? What are the available options for him? And what is a good candidate for like LASIK? And is there anything else that is better than LASIK, or we're stopped at it?
So basically it depends, firstly, how old the child is. So initially, most of the focus nowadays is on what we call myopia regression or myopia control. This is where you're trying to reduce how bad the power gets. So during that period, typically in the early teens, you have nowadays, with current research, there is evidence to show that we can start to slow down the extent of progression of that short-sightedness. So rather than just waiting for it to reach its worst point and then saying, okay, let's do a LASIK, we can actually start to help that problem much earlier, from their early teens. So once that stage is passed and their power stabilizes, so at 16 the power typically is still not stable, it still needs some time to reach its plateau, and once it does stabilize, then basically one can look at various options, laser being one of those options, but there's several others depending on what's the right choice for each individual, and it's a very personalized decision.
And what would be the other options once I get to that stage?
So when we talk about, firstly talk about LASIK itself, it's such a broad topic. Most LASIK procedures are performed surgically. So that mentions either it involves a flap, that's a cut into the cornea, or it takes a lenticule out of the cornea, or there is basically an implant of some sort. So we tend to prefer the non-surgical approach. That's something that we innovated in this part of the world, and we've now got 15 years of data, and we're in our 16th year of data collection on this, and we're showing far superior results to other surgical procedures, and even though we are a non-contact, non-touch procedure. So that's the Supra LASIK that we advocate, again, for the right individual, and there's several criteria that go into selecting the right individual. Apart from that, there's various options that are lens-based, either an intraocular lens or a lens that stays on top of your natural lens, or there's various other options such as external lenses, contact lenses, which is probably what's most appropriate for your 16-year-old at the moment if he doesn't want glasses, because we wouldn't want to do anything interventional until he's stabilized for a few years. So it's a matter of the age, time, the status of the person's eye, and then the right person to guide you on that decision-making process.
And doctor, if we go to the people that mature in age, okay, and cannot walk into the supermarket without glasses, okay, like you reach the item and you cannot buy it because you don't know what's written on it, and you live without buying, basically, because you forgot your glasses. Basically, everything deteriorates as we age. That is known. And eyesight is one of them. So what is there for people that are like myself a few years back that do not wish to carry 15 pairs of eyeglasses, yet they tend to still forget it in the car with them? Is there anything that helped them get rid of these glasses once and for all?
Yeah, it's a good question, Vigita. First, I'd say that in the current days of inflation, sometimes it's better not to see the price, and it's less painful that way sometimes. But if you are insisting to read the price, then yes, there are several options. Glasses, of course, being the immediate solution. But what you're talking about is something called presbyopia in the medical term, and that is basically the progressive loss of the ability of the eye to accommodate or to focus on a near target. Now, that involves basically, it's a gradual decline in terms of the way the lens functions. So when you're younger, your lens is able to become fatter or thinner based on how it needs to focus the object. So it becomes fatter to focus on something near and thinner to focus on something far. As that stiffens over time, kind of like an egg white, clear starts as clear, but as you cook it, it slowly goes white and solid. That process kind of happens in the lens of your eye. And it's a slow and gradual process, and the treatment that you do for it depends on where in that journey of that process you are.
Okay. So if I say that I am in the journey of healthy eyes, but I need to get rid of my glasses, and I don't want lenses, and I don't want to be, I can have LASIK, but I need something that is more permanent and much better.
Yes, so LASIK basically can also help in that situation of what we call presbyopia for certain people. But as you said rightly, that eventually, as the lens continues to age, they would eventually need a second procedure. So
Which is?
Which is basically a lens-based procedure. So,
okay.
But that duration of how wide that gap is between one procedure and the next varies on each person. So the first thing is to understand what's everyone's natural rate of aging. What's their pace of aging for their eye and their lens? And your family history is a good indicator. How quickly their vision deteriorated is a good indicator. But what we use as a metric to decide whether a lens procedure is appropriate or not is when we examine and look at the lens, we see when light passes through the lens, how clear the lens itself is. So if the lens is clear, then usually a lens replacement procedure is a bit premature. And we would rather recommend either managing with glasses or staying on follow-up or looking at other external treatments such as contact lenses or various other modalities, or even laser for that matter, if it's appropriate. But once the lens starts to go hazy and the reading vision declines and eventually the distance vision declines, that's when one starts to consider treatments that are lens-based.
So for lens-based treatment, or let me put it this way, lens replacement with those perfect lenses, is anyone a candidate, or once you have the haze and everything, is everyone a candidate for the procedure, or there are some people that you cannot even perform this on?
Oh, absolutely. It's very, very personalized. Sometimes it's even the decision varies between a left eye and a right eye of the same individual. So it's a very personalized decision, and it depends on so many factors, from their state of vision, from their ability to adapt to change, from their tolerance of risk, from how much they're impacted in their quality of life, through to all the findings in the eye exam, from the front of the eye through to the back of the eye. And so all those parameters, really have to line up for us to say that, yes, an intervention makes sense at this stage.
And so once a candidate gets the lens replacement done, it becomes like the new pair of eyes that they see the world with permanently. And does this require maintenance? Like, do they have to come to you every 6 months, every year? Or once, the recovery period is done, they're good to go?
Yeah, so it depends basically on the individual and what was the background of what brought them there. So effectively, if it's just the loss of reading vision and starting to feel that distance is starting to decline, and we find that there's also haziness in the natural lens, and then they fit all the other criteria in terms of their adaptability and their expectations, then if we proceed with that treatment, typically it solves a problem long term. It fixes their far, intermediate, and near vision. They typically are all glasses free. Our latest data shows we're close to 99.5% of complete freedom of glasses, even though global statistics are in the range of 90 to 95%. And what we see is that tends to hold for the long term. So we've seen someone we operated 20 years ago that I had operated on personally, and is still perfectly glasses free and says they feel like it's the first day after their treatment still. So this is something that is long term, but it is, again, to reiterate, it's for the right individual in the right circumstances.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Gauba. The whole world, by now, they know that I have suffered from dark circles around my eyes, hollow eyes. Recently, I have developed pigmentation because I had some microneedling done, and it has provoked something that left me with some pigmentation, on the face itself. So I took, that step and did the laser for the whole face instead of just around the eyes. So anyone who's looking at me now on the camera can see my face. I'm not wearing any makeup because I'm still, after 3 weeks of the procedure done, I'm still in recovery, so I'm not allowed to wear makeup, and I don't wear makeup anyway. I did it so that I don't have to wear makeup. It's just concealed around my eyes. But this glow and that effect, if I have people approaching me and they're knocking on the door and they want to come to you to get the same result, is this doable? Like, can anyone just come to you and get this, like the glow, the elasticity, the fading of the pigmentation, or again, it's personalized?
So what happens is that as we age, or the number of birthdays that we accumulate, our skin tends to...
That's not nice. That's not very nice.
We're all in the same journey, though,
Agita.
And, the skin elasticity in terms of particularly collagen and elastin is what gets impaired. And the ability of those molecules to function, and the ability of it to pull back your skin after stretch, and the ability of it to develop fine lines or deeper lines obviously increases as these two get damaged. So the idea is to turn back the clock on that process. Now, how does one turn back the clock? you can force the body to generate new collagen and new elastin internally from within itself. So this is not a cream or an external product which may show temporary benefit and the effect goes. This is something internal that stays with you for the future indefinitely. Now, whether it's suitable for everyone or not, it is an individual personalized decision. Depends on the skin type, depends how they respond to injury and trauma. It depends whether they're prone to pigmentation or not. And then once you say, okay, this is a suitable person, there is a preparation process. And this process is often overlooked, sadly, by many of our colleagues, which often leads to problems. Also then, it's a matter of selecting the right wavelength of the laser. So to make sure that the right laser is used for the right part of the face to achieve the desired result. So that is an all very customized process. Hence, it really does make a difference who's evaluating and eventually who's executing that treatment for you. It is not, people sometimes think it's sort of technician-led. You just come in and a technician wields a laser and off they go. But of course, there's going to be a huge difference in terms of outcomes and avoiding risk and avoiding complications while still maximizing benefit. And that's why you go to specialists and experts for that.
So how come someone has actually done the CO2 laser, fractional laser, and they ended up with severe pigmentation on their face? Like, it's not even what they started with. It has actually increased on the face. Is it a different laser of what I have, or different patient, or different everything altogether?
Yes, so basically it all depends really on the wavelength of the laser used. So CO2 is designed to basically generate more heat, but be less deep. So there's two variables there, depth of the laser and heat that's generated.
Okay.
The wavelength determines that. The more heat that's generated by the laser, the more risk of activating the melanocytes and the pigment cells, and the more risk of pigment being deposited. So you want to find the sweet spot between going deep enough so that it actually forces new collagen to be formed, but going low enough on the energy so that it doesn't stimulate pigment formation. So this is why choosing the right wavelength, as I said, for the right area, for the right part of the face, for the right individual based on their skin type, is what really helps avoid those problems. So unfortunately, your friend might have actually been not a suitable candidate for a hot laser as CO2. And frankly, in this part of the world, I would generally not recommend CO2 for anyone. When I was working in the UK and Ireland, I used to use CO2 a lot because we're talking about very light, pale skin. But as the skin gets more tanned, it's better to avoid CO2 lasers and go for other less energy, less heat-producing wavelengths.
Okay, so basically it was like a number of elements or a number of factors that have led to the failure of the procedure that my friend has gone through. And speaking of being selective on the patients that you choose. Now, Dr. Gauba, I need you to look at me, okay? And I would like to really have this. You see this? And you see this? I came to you twice for blepharoplasty, and twice you have turned me down, and you are the only doctor that I have seen who turns patients away. So why are you refusing to give me blepharoplasty?
Well, Regita, firstly, you can't be cross at me for being ethical, all right? So it is really about, as I've said, it's about giving true, honest, and sincere advice, which I would want to receive myself if I went to see a colleague. So it's basically about us setting expectations and trying to basically guide you on the journey of being your best self, in terms of your face, in terms of your aesthetics. So that's the responsibility that the physician carries, and a big part of that is saying no, because we often get people, I would say every single week, that come asking for procedures that are just not appropriate for them. So the magic finger you used, which is a very dangerous move, the minute the magic finger comes up, you're in trouble. But that magic finger would end up making you look ghastly. And that's how you would end up looking like, those people in OK magazine or Hello or whatever, with their scary looking faces and overly operated eyes and unable to close and all the complications. Sadly, those are the patients that get sent to us by our colleagues to fix. So hence, we definitely don't want to be the source of those problems. We want to be the ones that give the right advice, because we're the ultimate subspecialized surgeons and physicians in that domain of oculoplastics. So we will tell you whether it's appropriate or not, and be honest.
Okay, I appreciate the honesty, okay? Like, really, thank you for your honesty. However, you really didn't solve my problem. It's like you are the one who works magic and wonders. You replace lens inside the eye. You cannot help me with a bit of lift on this without performing a blepharoplasty? Is there another alternative that you can do without slicing and dicing?
Yes, sure. We have the other option, which is the Supra lift. It's a non-surgical blepharoplasty. The difference between the Supra lift and the blepharoplasty is the cut. In the blepharoplasty, in Supra lift, we don't cut. We just vaporize the skin. So again, the next question will be whether it's something long-term or not. The skin will never regrow again. The vaporized skin, it's vaporized. But in terms of the skin itself and the aging process of the skin and then the droopy of the eyebrow, yes, the patient might have some heaviness later, which definitely we can treat it surgically. But at the moment, not all the patients need to go through the surgical option, as there is another non-surgical option, which is faster in recovery and as well more safe, so the patient can go through that. So not all the people are a good candidate for the blepharoplasty. So that time we can swipe to the supralift.
So the treatment is called supralift.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. With the supralift, do I expect less droopy eyelid?
Yes, it will tight the skin.
Okay, and what is it exactly? Like, what are you going to use? You said you're not cutting the skin.
No, vaporizing the skin to make the skin more contracted.
So is it something, again, close to laser? Is it like a beam, like a laser beam? Or
Kind of, yeah.
So it's basically, just to add, it's using, you generate an energy bubble, which basically vaporizes the outer layer of the skin whilst contracting the deeper layer. So you get a deeper contraction with an outer vaporization. So if you treat, for example, 8 millimeters, it will contract to about 4 millimeters. So it's not the same as cutting 8 millimeters, where you lose all 8, but you get a reduction in the excess. So we actually have a clear criteria where it depends on how many millimeters of excess skin are on your upper lid. Why we kept turning you away is because the amount of excess skin you had was not significant enough to warrant a surgical procedure.
Thank you so much.
So you're actually doing better than you expect. And sometimes that's what you need to hear. You just need an expert to tell you, actually, you're doing pretty good. And all you may need...
You can finish the sentence. For my age, I don't have a problem.
No caveats. You're just doing good. All right? And I think your viewers will agree to how great your lids look, So sometimes, yes, if someone just wants a little tweak or they just want a little touch-up to that excess, they just want to make it lighter. And women often say that, when they're putting their eyeshadow and they're putting their foundation, that they get smudging because they have that little fold of skin. For those little tweaks, that's where something like Supralift is ideal, because you don't need to go through the surgical process and the recovery and the aftercare and the rest of it, even though it is fantastic at solving the problem long term. But Supralift offers an alternative that you can do for less, for earlier stage signs.
And it should last for a couple of years, few years, or few
Probably
months
more.
we're referring to?
More. It lasts for longer because, as Dr. Nanis said, that skin that's ablated, that skin is gone. So if 8 skin is gone to 4, you need several more years for that 4 to become 8 again. It will last you. It depends on your rate of aging, your pace of aging, your genetics, your exposure to sun, how good you are with sun protection, your diet, your vitamin C, your collagen, your nutrition. It's multifactorial. But overall, yes. Can it be repeated? Yes. So we do have people that come back after a few years and say, I loved it, and I'd just like to do it a bit more. and that's acceptable because it's non-surgical. And also, and additionally, it's all about preparation, preparing the skin so that you don't have problems, you don't have complications, even after the non-surgical treatment. So it's all about patient selection and preparation, and this is where the expertise. So, for example, Dr. Nanis is the expert in Supralift. You know, she's our sort of go-to person for this procedure, and so we would trust her opinion on whether someone is the right candidate or not.
So it requires another consultation, and not anyone can just walk through the door and say, I want the Supralift, and it's not like, can I have it now? And you're going to go, yeah, you can have it now.
No, definitely not. We can't do the procedure once the patient comes. We have to check the scan, we have to prepare, and we have to examine also to see how many millimeters the patient have to check. Is it skin only or it's a fat also? So it's multi-factor.
Okay. All right.
And sometimes people do show up asking for the non-surgical treatments, but often they have many other areas contributing, such as hollowness or brow being too low, or their glabella, this muscle being too strong. And sometimes it might be a completely different solution that can get them an even better result than they were expecting. So it's about keeping an open mind, letting the experts review and guide you in the right way, as long as you know they're ethical and they have your best interest at heart, and that they're okay to tell you, no, don't do anything.
Yeah, because we also always see the patient coming, like holding the eyebrow with the finger, and I want my eyes to be like that. Or I want my eyes to be like this celebrity, or this.
What do you mean now? Alice, what do you mean now?
And you know what? Actually, Wagida, it's not the patient's fault, because we live in a society where that's, encouraged. We have publications, magazines that are constantly, showing photoshopped and edited pictures of people looking superhumanly good. And the fact is that what's beautiful for you is based on how your bone structure is on your face, and how you're genetically predisposed, and how your mother aged, and how your father aged, and how your ancestors look. And it's about guiding you on that right path that's going to make you look natural and going to still get you the achieved an acceptable result. May not necessarily be the extreme look that one was looking for, but most people don't want an extreme look. They just want to look the best they can be.
Yes.
And
yes.
A lot of the times they don't know how to go about that. So they will come with their list of, oh, I would like this and I'd like this. And we'd say, well, you know what? Do you just want to look better and fresher and younger? Tell us what your objective is, and then we'll guide you on that journey.
How can I turn back the clock without having to go under the knife, or having to do 15,000 procedures on my face, while it's something that the more it goes into the skin, like collagen. I drink collagen every single morning, okay? And I know that laser gives the elasticity and everything, and I see the result. Like from the first week, I can see the firmness that the laser has given me. It might not be the result, though, for everyone, okay? However, this is the result for me, and this is where I have done it for the second time. But if I am coming to you, Dr. Gauba and Dr. Sultan, to say, what does the field of medicine have today to offer me and everyone who wants to turn back the clock naturally without having to go under the knife because they want to look younger? What do you have to offer? I heard about, these injections and those 15,000 types of injections that people talk about. And honestly, now that you're here, I would like to hear it from the experts and the professionals.
So Wagida, I'd say the general rule of thumb, and this is not just for your skin, this is for any part of your body and probably in life in general, is the closer you are to nature, the better the results and the better outcome, and the better you're going to hold up with time. So the same applies here. If you're looking for something that is going to naturally enhance the quality of your skin, the texture, not just skin but even hair, the innovation recently that we've had great success with is stem cell treatment. And again, Dr. Nanis is our resident expert in stem cells, so I'll let her talk about it.
Stem cells is extremely safe. It's taken from the patient's own body, so there is no risk of allergy, there is no risk of any adverse reaction. It's just taken for And it can be used for several reasons. We can use it to improve the skin, the quality of the skin. We can use it to improve all the scars, post-surgical scars. Patient had done, for example, a blepharoplasty somewhere else, and they end with scar which is quite visible. That time we can use for that. And we can use also for different reason other than the skin, which is the hair. And recently also we used it for the eyebrow to avoid doing the tattoo and all of that.
For the eyebrows, to
Yes.
regrow hair.
Yes.
In fact, we've had
Okay.
excellent results with that, and people who have tried every product under the sun and every other PRP or whatnot, and they've tried everything
Yeah.
under the sun, and they weren't able to get a result. But we've virtually had an almost 100% success rate so far, depending on, again, selecting the right person. So if that area, for
Understood.
example, of the brow has been burned, or if there's no effectively growth factors in that area that can nurture those stem cells, then that wouldn't work. But what's unique about the stem cell treatment is you're not just harvesting stem cells and injecting them. You're taking the natural growth factors that activate those stem cells, and you're placing those together with the stem cells in the area. So that actually means those stem cells get activated, and then they can do their job at rejuvenating the area and improving its health and texture.
One more advantage for the stem cell over the PRP and all of that is the PRP, you have to do it in sessions, like every month, every 2 months, whatever. For the stem cell, you can do it once a year, which is, of course, much, much better.
I would even say you could just do it once altogether and never repeat it if you wanted. And we've seen people who they come back and we say, no, you're looking great. You don't need to repeat this because it's actually activated internally. So I would say once a year would be the absolute maximum that one would ever do it. But you could potentially never need to do it again. You could just do one treatment and that can solve the problem for you.
Again, we have the same thing. One patient came to tell, I want to repeat it again. And we told, no, we will not repeat. It looks very good. And yeah, we can wait.
You're not candidate. But to my knowledge, to my very limited knowledge, I was under the impression that laser is the ultimate treatment for scars. It's like the ultimate and the latest. But now that you brought stem cells into the picture, where the skin is healing itself by promoting its own growth factors, can I combine both? Would it be an option to maximize on, the result? Since laser is actually also doing something on the surface of the skin while the stem cells are working from within the skin. Could this be done?
Again, based on the case. Some cases we do recommend to do the laser only. Some cases we will do combined treatment based on the examination and how the scar look and how old is the scar as well.
How old is the scar? Now, if someone is watching and they have scars or they are about to have scars, would you say come sooner? Like come with the fresh scar if you see that the scar is not healing the way you want, or wait for 6 months, 1 month?
No, the sooner is better, of course, for the scar treatment, yeah. Because you want to avoid developing that fibrous tissue, which will make the scar more raised or more ugly look. So you want the sooner is better in treatment of that. And there is different modalities also. So it's not about the laser and the stem cell. There is some injectables can soften the scar. So it's based on the examinations.
I heard about steroids as well, like they injected in certain areas, but the stem cells for the scars is the first time for me to hear about. For the eyebrows, I certainly haven't seen it anywhere. I know about Regenera, where they use it for the hair, and this is where stem cells stopped for me, but I didn't know that you can use it all over the face. And if we are talking eyebrows, could it also be for some men to grow a healthy beard?
Yes, exactly. It can be, and potentially even for lashes. So we've started, because there isn't enough data around the world for lashes, and we're starting to create a international research group to actually look into this and look at using stem cell for lash growth. So we've been pioneering that study, and hopefully we'll have in about a year or two some more data on the use for lashes. But for eyebrow, it's definitely already showing very promising results.
If you need a volunteer for trials on the eyelashes.
You'll be first on our list, Regina, don't worry.
Okay. This round is going to be yay or nay. All right, let's start with eye drops to make the sclera whiter. Yay or nay?
Nay.
Nay.
Why?
Because of abuse. And if your eyes are not white, there's a reason why they're not white. So find out what's the cause, treat things at their root cause. General rule for eyes or in life?
The following one is going to be the eye drops to change the iris color. Yay or nay?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, why?
Something unnatural. So recently we have heard also about the surgery which is changing for the eye color. And we have seen patients who lose the eyesight because of this surgery. So it's unnatural, so definitely nay.
And I would say, where is the pigment going to go? If you're going to use a drop, where is that pigment going to go inside the eye? It's going to go somewhere, and where it goes, it clogs up the drainage in the eye and causes glaucoma and other sight-threatening problems, hence a nay.
So basically, be safe and stick to colored lens.
Occasionally, if you want to use it for cosmetic reasons.
Okay, they are all using it for cosmetic reasons.
Well, sometimes actually we use colored lens for functional reasons. People who have a missing part of their iris, you use a cosmetic colored lens to actually reduce the glare. But if it's just for cosmetic, because the climate here is so dry, using a contact lens every day and an air-conditioned environment, you would possibly end up with other problems. So we would say use it occasionally.
So we will tell using, but don't abuse it.
Correct.
Use it in moderation.
Absolutely.
Or just, be yourself and stay natural and thank God for the eyesight that you've got, regardless of what eye color you have.
Absolutely. But if it's an occasional party and you've got healthy eyes, wear a colored lens and have fun, that's absolutely fine.
But don't make it a daily habit.
Yeah.
The following one is going to be using Botox to lift the mobile lid or to have that fascinating lift. Can we use Botox for this?
I would say a nay. Again, you can use it to lift the brow, but to achieve symmetry and to achieve a naturally dynamic moving brow, I don't particularly like the results when Botox is used for the brow. We prefer to treat it through other modalities.
How about using fillers under the eyes to treat bags and to treat dark circles?
Yay, but it's related to the cause of the dark circles. So if the cause is hollowness, yes, fillers can solve the problem. And for the bags, it can camouflage the bags, but up to certain points. There's some patient with very big eye bags that cannot be solved other than the surgery, of course.
Brilliant. This will take us now to the part of yes, no, which is called the Myth Busters. And please try not to laugh because I'll do my best to hold it. Okay. These are things that we heard from our parents and grandparents when we were little. And until today, I have never bothered to Google facts about them. But now that I have you here, I would like to clear it to everyone.
Yes.
So, is this right or wrong? Sitting too close to the TV or computer screen will damage your eyes.
Yes.
Using corrective lenses weakens your eyesight over time.
No.
Reading in dim light leads to permanent eyesight deterioration.
Not permanent. It leads to eye straining.
But not losing eyesight or damaging the eyesight.
Yeah, I would say yes, because it does weaken the ability of the muscle in the eye to work. Because of that increased strain, you'd end up with worsening eyesight over time, yes.
So they were right about this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Wearing someone else's glasses can improve your can improve your own eyesight.
Improve.
I think we know it's a no. Yes.
Okay, got the answer, got the answer. Eating carrots will dramatically improve vision overnight, and I'll become a Superman in the morning.
No.
It does have vitamin A, but it will not improve dramatically.
But I'll
the
become
vision.
Superman over time if I keep eating carrots, or I'll just become
Well, Gita,
a
you
rabbit.
can become Superwoman anyway, all right? But
Without
that's
the
just you. But for everyone else, I would say that if they have a healthy, balanced diet and they get enough vitamin A in their diet, having additional carrots is not going to change anything with regards to their vision. And so this is a bit of a myth. But if you are deficient in it, then having carrots can help restore that balance to maintain your sight.
But not just carrots.
Not just carrots, any source. It's just carrots is a good source.
Okay, all right then. Looking directly into the sun can enhance your eyesight.
It can sadly actually lose eyesight. We frequently see people in this part of the world who've looked at the eclipse or hasuf, and they basically find that they get burns in their macula, in the center part of their retina, and they only admit to it once we ask them, did you ever look at an eclipse or look at the sun? And they say, oh yes, I used to love doing that when I was a kid.
And it's a permanent damage.
That's permanent loss. So hence why, looking at the sun or looking at the eclipse needs to be done very mindfully and with the right equipment.
And just wear sunshades.
For the sun, but for the eclipse, even that's not enough. You
No,
must look at it indirectly.
Okay, so don't look at the eclipse.
Better not to.
Okay, all right then.
Watch it on YouTube.
Staring at a smartphone screen for too long will permanently damage the eyes.
To reduce the blinking, make the eye more dry. So all the blue lights had an effect on the eye, of course.
Is there anything that I can wear before I stare at my screen 24/7 so I can buy it for my son?
You have these. These are the blue blocking glasses. So you can wear this as in the evening when you're in front of a screen so that it filters out the blue radiation. Alternatively, you could even actually adjust your settings on your phone to reduce the amount of blue. So the problem is that that blue light fools your brain into thinking it's still daylight. And the brightness of that screen affects your circadian rhythm because your body thinks that it's still morning time or daytime. And it's still, so when you going to sleep, it's hard for it to go to sleep. And the depth of sleep also is affected. So we always say an hour before sleep, as I keep nagging to my own children, no screens, no devices for that hour before bedtime.
I got it. Or continue for the hour and take 2, 3, 4 melatonin and hope that it will work.
I wish it was that simple, but no shortcuts.
It's
There's no
not.
shortcuts. But using blue blockers, reducing the brightness of the image, having good background light, keeping a good distance, all this helps. And the 20-20-20 rule, which your viewers should know about in general, is
I know about it, but viewers don't know about it. So
exactly.
Would you kindly mention it?
So it's every 20 minutes, you must take a break of at least 20 seconds and look at least 20 feet away. And I always add, ideally at something green. Look far away, look at a plant, look at a tree. When I wake up, or I insist when my children wake up, that the first thing they do is they look out the window and look at a tree or look at something green, far away. Once they've done a minute or two of that, only then they can start to face the world with devices and whatnot.
And the 20-20-20 rule applies every hour, 2 hours?
Every 20 minutes.
Every 20 minutes.
Every 20
Yeah.
minutes. So 20 minutes for 20 seconds, 20 feet away, and preferably something green.
Yes, and also remember, the reason is that when you're in front of a screen, and this is very important for all your viewers that work in an office or that working on a computer, they need to understand that when you're in front of a screen, we tend not to blink. When you're conversing, like now we're talking, we're blinking several times, even 20 plus times in a minute. But when you're in front of a screen, that number can go down to 3 or 4 times in a minute. So it's sometimes even a fifth of what you normally blink. That's what causes the problem, particularly in an environment that's air conditioned. So not only are you getting more light radiation, you're getting more loss of moisture, you end up with sore eyes at the end of the day and tired, and you think, khalas, I want to just go home and close my eyes. So if you take the right care, you do 20-20-20, you use lubricants, you blink more frequently, you won't feel that at the end of the day.
Thank you
And the
very
last
much for
20
the
is very
advice.
important because recently I have one patient who told me, yeah, I'm following what you are doing for the 20 seconds, I'm looking to the mobile. So he left the laptop and then he looked to the mobile for the 20 seconds. So the last 20, which is the 20 feet, is very important.
Yes, so looking at your phone is not a break. People consider moving from their spreadsheet to their WhatsApp is a break.
Correct.
But it's not.
Okay, I hope this is clear for everyone. And we continue with eye exercises can eliminate the need for glasses or contact lenses. Is there such a thing like eye exercise?
I wish it was so simple that I could say yes. Eye exercises has a role to play, and particularly in the yogic history, they're very pro exercises for the eye, and they claim that they can reduce short-sightedness, although when you look at the scientific literature, there really isn't anything to support that. So unfortunately, the answer would be no, but at the same time to say they do have a role to play.
But for now, clearly to everyone, like an average person like myself, it's a no.
Yeah, it's a no in terms of what you're expecting to achieve from it. It's a yes in terms of keeping your eyes more comfortable and healthy, but no in terms of preventing all eye issues and vision problems.
Okay, got that clear. Rubbing your eyes vigorously can improve vision clarity.
That's an absolute no.
It can damage the eye. Actually, we saw there is a condition called the keratoconus, which is that the cornea is not, it doesn't look like a sphere, it looks like a cone. And that resulted because of too much rubbing the eyes.
So rubbing the eyes actually not only can lead to this progressive loss of vision, it can also lead to a detachment of the retina, it can lead to optic nerve damage, it can actually lead to a lot of problems, and especially for your viewers, if their kids are rubbing their eyes, because they're so soft and malleable at that age, they can develop an accelerated version of these conditions. So find the cause of rubbing. Is it because they're dry? Is it because they're allergic? And treat the cause. As I said with everything, try and get to the root cause. If you really can't avoid rubbing and that itch is just so excitingly appealing, use an ice pack or use a cold lubricant to soothe your eye rather than rubbing.
And rubbing as well, for me, I would tell everyone not to do it because it can also cause, aesthetically, it causes the fall of the lashes and lashes until I get them treated to regrow are not replaceable, correct?
And one of the
Yes.
causes of dark circles, because the skin will get inflamed and then the skin will be pigmented.
Exactly, and laxity of the skin as well, because the skin around the eye is one of the thinnest areas of skin in your whole body.
Yeah.
The under eye and the neck are the two thinnest areas of skin. So when you keep rubbing a thin area of skin, eventually it's going to develop crepiness.
So this is the biggest no I've heard. So goodness me. Last but not least, people with perfect 20/20 vision will never need glasses or contact lenses.
Sadly, it's a no, because everyone at some point in their life will eventually need us.
Lens replacement.
Even if not lens replacement, they'll need an eye doctor, because the vision, unfortunately, is one of those faculties which does degrade with time. It's like having a camera lens. In your camera, you can buy the most expensive lens, but after 20 years or 30 years, eventually, that lens is going to degrade, and it needs to be addressed. So it's the same with the human body. We weren't necessarily designed to live this long. So hence there's certain areas of our body which needs a bit of upkeep or maintenance or touch-up to keep up with our expanded life.
Speaking of, we're not going to be around for that long. Okay, if someone is going to be around for that long and they want to take preventative measures, they want to know where they're standing today, and they would like to know what they can do tomorrow to, like myself, retain their youth without having to wait until everything deteriorates and then try to cure it. I would say prevention is better than cure. What can I do today in order to have a better Wagida tomorrow, doctor?
So there's a lot that you can do. And I'd say first it's by understanding what's your story, what's your DNA say about you, and that comes under evaluating your DNA sequence. So technology has reached a stage where you can actually do genuine personalized prevention. So of course we all know the general things we should do is eat well, sleep well, move, reduce stress and so forth. But we're in an era of science now where you can be much more specific. You can actually find out which conditions you are more predisposed to, which ones are you high risk of developing genetically. And then you can go about trying to switch off those genes so that you don't develop that condition. So it sounds a bit sci-fi and it sounds a bit out there, but
is this available? Like, where can I do this today? Is it doable?
yes, it's doable. It's
What is it
available.
called?
So it's under a company called LifeX,
Okay.
and really what the mission of the company has been to be able to democratize this technology and to be able to make this accessible to everyone. So it's not just about understanding your genetic blueprint, then using advances in technology such as artificial intelligence to basically break down that information and help guide you on your journey of well-being and longevity.
So I can have a DNA test today in order to determine how I should be moving effective tomorrow if I would like to maintain a better Wagida or prevent something bad from happening by choices that I might be able to make today.
Absolutely. And as you said, life is all about choices. And the more information you have, the better choices you can make. Now, we're at a point where that information is so personalized and so relevant to you. That's why we say it's your story. This is your DNA story. So you might as well read and know your story so that you can make sure it has a happy ending. And that's what true longevity is. It's avoiding disease.
Yes, this
And
is very true.
there's another layer to that, which is basically looking at how rapidly your body ages. And this also ties in well with the aesthetic side we talked about, because your cellular age is actually your true age. Your calendar age doesn't necessarily mean as much. And we've seen this. We've all seen 60-year-olds.
I'm a living proof.
Exactly, you
Not
are.
that I'm 60.
Case in point. And, and your cellular age may just be better than your actual age. And the beauty is that, one, we can measure that. You can actually find out what your cellular age is, and then you can influence it and turn back the clock. So this is truly turning back the clock on your aging process, which has aesthetic benefits, but actually also the master trigger for acquired disease is age. All those conditions increase with age. So if you can turn your body's age backwards, then you can actually help or slow it down, or at least go in the right direction, which is in reverse, ideally.
Yeah.
Then you can actually help prevent disease and prevent morbidity and live a very healthy, fruitful, and a life full of vitality and disease-free.
So it's a dream to have a life, or whatever is left from a human being's life, disease-free or problem-free, without having everything collapsing around, starting from the skin. The skin at one point becomes the least of the issues, but when you start to have the joints problems, the teeth problems, and then you know that it's not reversible because of the aging process, the dreaded aging process. With this, I come to the conclusion of this podcast from Wagida Unfiltered for everyone. Having you, Dr. Gauba, and having you, Dr. Sultan, is something that I have wanted to do for a long time, because whatever I have heard from you today, so many of it I've heard for the first time. Hopefully it is the case for the viewers as well. And I would like to thank you for taking the time and leaving your patients behind to be here with us today, and for giving us all of this information. And with your blessings as well, there will be a live session, live chat, that viewers, if you would allow it, would, after watching this podcast, come back with questions that I'll pass them on to you.
Yes,
and then you can answer everyone, because I'm quite confident it will generate many questions. With this, I finish this podcast, and many more podcasts are coming with geniuses in their field, that you will hear all the information firsthand from the right person without having to go to Google, put in a couple of words and thinking that what you read is the right thing. Hear it from the experts, please. And as you heard it time and time again, not everything suits everyone. Might suit me and doesn't suit you, and what might suit you might not suit me and might work against me. And microneedling was one of them in my case. So until next podcast, thanks everyone. Thank you for watching. And don't forget to follow me for more of this quality.